Welcome back, dear folks, for some new episode and a familiar face, as you can tell.
Hell yeah.
So, David is back today and basically helping me, a heathen, to understand and comprehend what is hardcore music.
Hell yeah.
And obviously he's in the game, otherwise he would not be here today, to be fair. So, we will try at least to dive into some history facts about local hardcore music, as well as like the whole history and the whole background. So, thank you so much for taking your time today.
Of course. Always happy to be part of the show.
I think you're a regular by now.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I'm part of the
team,
the crew. Yeah,
part of the crew. Yeah.
No, always happy to join.
Great. So let's have some fun. Basically, so for those who don't know, David is the lead singer of Blanket Hill, a Luxembourgish hardcore band, or some might even say Luxembourg's hardest. So
yes,
it's fair and it's true. So
yeah, fair point.
We are going to go back at least, because for me, again, I will have to start at the basics for me. While I was growing up in terms of metal music and everything, I always had the impression that there was this separation going on. There was metal music and then it was hardcore.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, that's the question I've always asked myself. How come it's not because it is obviously related.
Yeah.
But people still, to this day, tend to make oh no, this is something else.
Yeah. I think that's a difficult question in a way, but also an easy one in another, because I feel as though hardcore has a lot to do with what you identify with, and so does metal. And I think for people who feel part of one thing, they might not want to associate with the other, as to say,
okay, yeah.
I am different from this. I don't partake in the same, rituals when it comes to concerts. Yeah. Some people in the hardcore community might not understand headbanging, and then obviously the moshing that goes on at a hardcore show might be very difficult to understand for somebody who's from the metal scene. So I think there's clashes there. Thankfully, I believe that that's starting to disappear a little bit, especially when you look at bigger scenes than Luxembourg, for instance. Yeah. If you look at the US, the UK, if you look at tour packages, there's loads of cross-billing, where metal bands, hardcore bands, metalcore bands, this whole thing.
Core element, basically.
Exactly.
Represented, yeah.
Exactly, where bands go on tour together and you get mixed crowds at every show, which I think is great. Because for me personally, when I was growing up, I came into hardcore from metal. So I was into metal first, discovered that first, and then went into hardcore. And for me, it was always difficult to understand those barriers between the two, because I appreciated and still appreciate both.
Yeah.
So I guess there's two ways into hardcore. One is from metal and one is from punk.
The ground up, maybe, punk related,
from that side. And for me, it was really difficult to understand, because in terms of music, there's especially for people who enjoy metal, there's a lot of stuff to enjoy.
Yeah,
I believe if you
100%.
enjoy certain bands in the metal genre, you will find bands that identify as hardcore.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah, I mean, again, I have to on my personal background. I mean, I came to love and enjoy hardcore because of you guys. So, honestly, obviously, there were names here and there, Agnostic Front, Black Flag. These names, they popped up throughout my entire upcoming. But
of course,
I think it never came to mind, and maybe because, as you said, I've been growing up in the metal scene, and then this seems different. And yet, as you said, there's so much there's so many parallels in
Yeah.
these two things, and
Of course.
it makes sense. The only thing I might say, it might upset a few, but I feel for me is the easiest like way to comprehend why I enjoy hardcore. It's fairly easy without being like bad or anything. It's just
No,
like
no, I get you.
it's straight,
Yeah.
it's straight to the
Yeah.
point. It's just nothing to like fancy I don't know, fancy an overload of stuff. It's just
Of course.
we got stuff to say,
Yeah.
and we don't lose any time basically. I feel for me that helped a lot, and obviously we talked a lot like the last few times we were on the show, and in general like this for me Blanket Hill opened like a big door in terms of at least opening my ears a bit more to the whole punk and post-punk element that is in this genre. So, but I mean, you said it. You grew up in the metal scene.
Yeah.
What were then the first like hardcore elements that made you think like, hey, this is my jam? I mean,
yeah. So for me, it was a fairly quick way into heavy music. It went from, I think the first band I really liked was The Offspring, so that's pop punk kind of thing, and then I got the Black Album by Metallica.
Obviously, like all of us did.
Yeah. Still my favorite band to this day. I'm a hardcore kid, but Metallica's got me. That's the big one. And then when I was in primary school, I had a friend whose older sister had a big CD collection, and she was really into Children of Bodom, and that was so I went into like melodic death metal.
Yeah.
And I guess at that time, since I was a young child, you want more, you want to go.
Yeah.
And then
you dig deeper, basically.
Yeah. And I was a sponge at that time. I would read magazines. My parents would get me Metal Hammer and Rock Hard, and I would really kind of try and learn as well. And then I tried death metal, which I still really like. I tried black metal to find something more powerful. And then when I got into all of that, I really enjoyed the music. But I was really into books as well as a child. I mean, those who know me, they know I teach English, so I have a big affinity and appreciation for language and the power of the written word. And I started reading lyrics. I got that from my dad. Whenever he got like a record, he would like sit there, listen to it, and read the lyrics and stuff. And when I did that with a lot of these more extreme metal records, I thought it was really silly, to be honest, because it was very 80s slasher film a lot of the time.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
Yeah, and I didn't really, obviously I don't want to stereotype whole genres. The older I got, I found bands in those genres as well. If you look at 80s thrash metal, there's a big social element and criticizing nuclear power and the threat that might pose and stuff like that. And even death metal bands, I think the band Death started writing cleverer lyrics the longer it went on. But yeah, that was always the part where it was really difficult for me to identify with
like lyrically and finding your like calling, so to speak.
Exactly.
Like, okay.
Exactly. I have that in a few Metallica songs. They had a few clever songs that kind of talked about personal struggles and stuff, and I always found that more relatable than to sing about monsters and hell, and that really didn't do it for me. And then through obviously that time where you had this MySpace metalcore kind of
that was a thing.
That was a thing. That's when I was like 12, 13, that was a really big thing. That introduced me to some of the sounds, and then obviously also because of cross billing, I quickly found bands like Terror, and The Ghost Inside was a big one for me, who kind of shifted away from that sound
A bit, yeah.
recently, but certainly their first two records still kind of have that hardcore sounding element to it. And there I really got into the lyrics, because it talked a lot about social struggles. It talked a lot about personal struggles and kind of overcoming them a lot of the time. And that for me was really important, because it kind of helped me navigate kind of through my own teenage years, struggles I had, be that personal or, you know, in my environment. And that really helped me. So I kind of found the musical equivalent to what I was feeling and how I was feeling, and also what I was kind of thinking about the world. It helped me kind of educate myself politically as well, because as I was always really into history and politics, and that was never really a big thing in metal, at least in my teenage
back
perception.
then, not really. Yeah.
And then I was all in. I was like, this is my thing, in terms of what I identify with, kind of the ethical part of the genre, because I still really like metal. I mean, most of the time when we meet each other in private, it's
there.
Metal shows.
Metal shows. Yeah.
But I oftentimes only enjoy the musical.
I get you.
Element.
I get you.
It's not really something where I scream lyrics at the top of my lungs. I just go, this is a really nice song. I enjoy the riffs. I enjoy the structures. And those are my friends who are really into heavy metal. I don't know, there's a Judas Priest show coming up, for instance, in a couple of weeks.
In a few weeks, 19th of July, I think.
Of July, yeah. I'm really looking forward to it, but it doesn't get me the same way.
It's purely nostalgic, I think. I mean, for those bands, obviously, but it's not like something that... I really get you, because for me, it's kind of the same. Very often, I listen to the music. I don't even register what they are singing.
No, exactly. And if you look at bands, I remember, so I mentioned Children of Bodom before, which is still a band I really, really like. In terms of metal bands, that really made me appreciate it. It made me pick up a guitar. It was Hetfield and Alexi from Children of Bodom. I wouldn't play guitar without those two. But the lyrics, a lot of the time, especially on the first few records, it's cringy for me.
Nowadays, I might even say unbearable to listen to lyrically.
There's even like studio diaries where they talk about it, and he's like, it's just, I'm just yelling stuff that sounds kind of cool, and that kind of fits the code of metal.
That was the thing back then. Again, as you said, like we were looking for. We got hooked with or we grew up with the Metallica or the Priest guys before that even. So, and then you just want more. And exactly, I mean, Children of Bodom gave something that back then not many were able to give in terms of playability.
Exactly.
Or how to reach your limits in terms of a guitarist, for example, this is 100%. Crazy. I want to play that, but I don't care about the lyrics that much.
No, exactly. It's sometimes it's just, and on the later records, I think he kind of evolved, and there's more personal stuff, which I think also kind of elevates the quality because there's more in it.
Yeah. I think especially the last record, Hexed, was. Musically, it was not Children of Bodom anymore. I mean, I'm speaking for myself.
I love it.
But it's great. It's great because it's so different. Kind of.
Yeah.
And I feel it's like you said, it's more like his personal experience. Obviously, after that, he passed away tragically. So
unfortunately.
So something went into these last songs that were very, very different from their early beginnings, basically.
Yeah, and I feel as though that is something that I pick up quickly when listening to something. The urgency to express yourself, and maybe also the honesty behind it. Some of the lyrics with hardcore bands can be quite painful because people try and kind of
It's like therapy. Basically, you
yeah,
have to get rid of stuff that is stuck with you, either personal experiences or whatever. So yeah.
And I'm not saying that doesn't exist, especially in metal. There's a lot of stuff like that, but I think for me, paired with the musical intensity of it, it's just the thing that got me and that kind of has really, to be honest, shaped my last 15 years.
Yeah.
Or even more. I'm getting old. 20.
Dude, you're getting old. Stop it, man. For me, it's a 4 this year.
Oh, shit,
so
man.
damn. But I don't look like. Apparently, I don't look like 40.
You
so
don't.
Thanks.
You don't, man.
It's my
Still
wife.
Still looking
basically.
beautiful as ever. Hell yeah.
So let's also go to the fact that, I mean, it's a fact. It grew. Hardcore grew from punk rock.
It did, yeah.
From the late 70s onwards.
Yeah.
And it was, as you said, it was always very political. And you mentioned it that nowadays saying you're into politics, I feel like people people are getting it wrong. It's basically exactly. It's basically, to me, and I feel like nowadays a lot of hardcore bands and a lot of bands in general, they try to read between the lines, which is basically a thing that people forget to do.
Yeah.
So how would you say, like, this aggressive shift in terms of where we go from punk rock and then we just take it a step further and go even more political and basically go like above the glam metal phase that basically nobody wanted back then?
Yeah, exactly. So I think Black Flag for a lot of people is the first kind of hardcore band. And I guess at that time, I think punk as a genre, 77 punk kind of ran its course quickly, in the sense that a lot of the big bands kind of self-destructed. If you look at the Sex Pistols, that
there was carnage, basically.
Yeah, and I think obviously there's a few really good bands that stuck it out, and like the Ramones and stuff like that. But I feel as though punk and the punk aesthetic was adopted fairly quickly by the establishment. If you can't beat them, join them. So that was kind of incorporated into not the mainstream. It was becoming more and more acceptable. And I guess when bands got more abrasive, there was a need to keep the aggression high and the criticism and the expression, not wanting to be a part of that. And then I think really quickly you had bands like the Bad Brains, which I think is a very important band.
I will have to write that down, though.
Oh yeah. Oh man, the Bad Brains are, it's a band. They became a reggae band, right?
Okay.
Black members, so you get this whole new perspective very early on. I think that's a really important band. Also, kind of, obviously, I look back at that. I wasn't part of it when it was starting, but for me, a lot of that music is a positive outlet for negative feelings or just rage in general.
Yeah.
And then it was really fast, really aggressive, really abrasive as well. And that kind of grew. And then if you look at the 80s, there's already an influence from, I would even call it an influence from metal,
Yeah. I feel a lot of thrash went into hardcore writing.
The Cro-Mags, stuff like that. There's that. A band I really like is Killing Time.
Never heard of it.
They're fantastic. They're from New York as well. And to me, that if you would show that to a thrash metal fan, I think they would find a lot in there that they recognized, and also bands that kind of grew the sound of hardcore, bands like Leeway, and then if you go into stuff like Agnostic Front, which is obviously they're called the godfathers of hardcore for a reason. They started really early on, very punky, and then they went and basically made a metal record.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and then you get stuff like Madball,
Yeah,
and then
Hatebreed.
you get the groove, and always very angry, very outspoken. Obviously, different perspectives. For instance, if you take a band like Earth Crisis, they're militantly vegan, straight edge. It's like, this world is going to pieces. We need to act. We need to stop what's going on.
Like, let's call it like extreme in several ways. I mean,
Yeah.
I know compared to like metal or many metal genres, there's always this part of it's extreme in its musical behavior, but not necessarily in the portrayal or in the personal life of the musician. So this is something, or at least for me, again as a heathen, I feel it has way more personal value. Like hardcore bands in general, they bring something else to the table.
Yeah,
which is missing a bit.
It's very often, I feel as though it's very often a personal expression, not only in terms of what you like musically and what you want to express musically, but also in terms of your voice. You know, really naming things, saying things, looking at the world around you and inward as well, and really kind of throwing that out there. Which there's these two sides, as you said. For metal, it might just be one of the two, whereas for hardcore, it's really both. It's kind of merging both. You know,
it's such an interesting perspective, like. And especially now, I mean, we'll come to that question anyway. But if you look at the evolution, obviously, we have to talk about our local scene. It's not that big, but damn, it's growing fast.
It is,
right?
It is.
And it's good. But
it is.
What I found very difficult, again, for me, and I feel maybe for several others who went on some history search, not much is written down or recorded from the 80s, when apparently it got started over here.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Thankfully, if you talk to people, but also from who were kind of part of it from the 90s, you kind of learn about it. A good friend of mine, Dan, who tattoos, we keep talking about hardcore when he ruins my body. He was part of that scene in the 90s, and there was a band called Wounded Knee, for instance.
Okay.
You can find footage of them on YouTube playing Kulturfabrik.
Okay.
And it's rowdy. It's not just five idiots in a room. It's rowdy.
That was going to be my question. Who went there? Because okay.
And I think if you get to a bit later, you get bands like Death Dump and stuff like that, which obviously kind of musically is not the same as Madball, but it's definitely from that scene.
100% agreed. Yeah.
And if you look at what Pascal, who was part of Death Dump now, does in Kiel, he's just put on Refused last weekend for free. He put on Black Flag 2 years ago. There's definitely still
it resonates with the people.
Yeah. And I think also when I started playing in bands, there was not necessarily full-on hardcore bands, you know, like 4-chord, quick youth crew style bands or whatever. It was a lot of that kind of metalcore wave, deathcore wave, whatever. But I feel as though in terms of the ethics behind it, of how things were run, how the scene functioned, there was a lot of hardcore DNA all over that. And then obviously you had a band that was really important for me was Iceberg, which is half Luxembourgish, half English.
Okay.
There's basically two guys from here who I think met some people from England somewhere, and they started a band, and they had a really good run for a couple of years. And I remember they had shirts and hoodies that said Luxembourg Straight Edge or Luxembourg Hardcore. And I was like, oh shit, you know, there's
it's a message basically.
Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, like it's on the map. And then when we started doing Blanket Hill, there was nobody else that kind of did that was full on saying, this is what we do, this is who we are, and we identify with this, we want to bring this. But we felt as though we could pull it off.
Do You did.
Because yeah,
Damn, you
I mean,
did.
10 years later, yeah, we kind of did.
It's crazy.
But that was really the point, and especially when we started Blanket Hill, that whole deathcore thing, metalcore thing died down. The first couple of years were quite difficult in the sense that there was not a lot happening in Luxembourg outside of the shows that we would book.
Yeah.
And those shows would be financially very difficult sometimes, because we would put on bands like Soul Search. Like now when I tell people, oh, we booked Soul Search 10 years ago, they're like, oh shit, that's crazy. I'm like, yeah, there were 30 people, you know. We booked so many bands. I remember there was a Turnstile at Rock Hall yesterday. They sold it out. It was a fantastic show. But 10 years ago, we drove to see their first Euro tour, and there were 100 people. It's and crazy, it was a crazy show. But it, you know, and just seeing that and other bands doing it, other bands just getting in a van, you know, making friendships, exchanging shows, not really caring where you sleep, just trying to get your message across, just trying to meet like-minded people. That was really important to us. And because of bands like, for me, it was Iceberg, certainly from Luxembourg, who had that, and then also other smaller bands that we would meet at shows that we are friends with to this day, and some of them really grew. They have since grown quite big, but we all started from same
scratch, basically. I remember you were. I think it was last time when we spoke, or even the time before, when you started, or you guys started with Blanket Hill in the UK.
Yeah.
If I could be wrong here, but I think, was it not Knocked Loose that opened for? Or what was?
Oh no, Harriet opened.
For Harriet. Yeah, sorry, Harriet.
Harriet opened.
I mean, again, the evolution, as I said, another example just to throw it out there. Harriet by now is like pretty damn big in terms of groovy, death metal-y kind of stuff. So for me, that's insane in terms of evolution and in terms of progress. Where you, 100%. As you said, you guys went through this whole thing, but others did as well. And
100%. And I think we're not special in the sense of, we're not the first band to do this from here, but I think we're the only current band who did it in that time frame. You know,
I might even say you're probably the only guys I know of that got it, that lifted the bar as high as it did in this short amount of time.
Yeah,
and you're still like continuing. Okay, there's like a lot of like different in or outputs in terms of Blanket Hill. There's Attitude and all these other things,
of course.
But it's like it's more than a hardcore band. I feel by now it's like there is definitely community there.
Yeah,
and it's not, and that's what I like about it. As I said at the start, there was always this separation in terms of metal and hardcore. But I feel, especially now, you see it well in Luxembourg. It's just one scene. Everybody gets along. There's no like hardships or anything. It's, you do your shit, you do your music, we do our music, we support each other, even if we don't necessarily like it. You know, it's not like this. You think that has something to do with the fact that, okay, Luxembourg is obviously very small. Does it help to get the word out there, obviously, faster and work the crowd better, you know?
I think it can. Because I remember, especially over the last couple of years, where we just said, okay, we're all back, or most of us are back in Luxembourg. We need to, or we can play more shows locally, because in the beginning we were all at university and we would just tour. We'd be like, okay, let's step out of uni for 2 weeks and just get in a van, let's do it, play everywhere. But we've played a lot of metal shows and metal adjacent shows over the last couple of years, and people get it, the sound, they get what's happening on stage without necessarily knowing what it is, which kind of shows me that if you don't have any preconceived notions of, oh, this is cool and this is acceptable and this is whatever, you will get it and you will understand what we're trying to do and what we're all about. And I think that's really nice. And then also I think what's really important is make yourself relevant. Like, I don't really care if we play with a death metal band. If I want to wear a baseball jersey and a cap, I'll fucking do it. Because I believe is that basically you should show who you are and what you want to do. I think if there's a black metal band who put on corpse paint, I respect it. You know, it's their thing.
Yeah.
It's not what I would
But
do.
yeah, it's not you.
But it's
you.
them.
Yeah.
You know, and I think you shouldn't shy away from doing that. Vice versa as well. I would love to take bands that I think would really do well in a hardcore context on tour, or book them in other places, and I think they should be exactly who they are.
Yeah,
because that's what makes it kind of heartfelt and honest, and that will get a reaction from people. And I'm really happy that we now get a lot of positive feedback outside of the confines of hardcore, from like 50-year-old metalheads who buy a t-shirt and they're like, oh, this is sick, I needed this. And then you kind of start talking to them and they go, oh, I'm really glad you talk about issues that are going on. That's really inspirational. I don't know, the stuff you said on stage about equal rights was really touching for me. I go, hell yeah, man. That
that means something. Yeah.
And that's why it really means a lot to me as well. Like, this hardcore thing, like, it has really made me who I am. Like, I care about this shit deeply, so
I think that's why you're here today. Honestly, when I was thinking about, like, because again, we are doing this podcast. It's been 5 years already. It's crazy. Time
hell yeah, man. That's sick.
It's crazy.
Congrats.
But cheers. But it's insane because we never thought of the fact we have to talk about hardcore. But then again, we had some discussions with other people. But is it really metal? And my reply would always be the same. Does it have to be? No, it does not have to be.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares, And now, when I personally, and I think I speak for many people out there in the local scene, when I think of hardcore from here, there's Blanket Hill. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. And that to me is a statement for you guys, because
I appreciate that.
That's just for me, it's like a new pinnacle. There was this wave, but nothing was like. You couldn't touch it, basically. Let's call it like that. It was not real enough. But you guys are down to earth. You guys promote yourselves basically with what you do, and that's something that you have to appreciate full term.
Yeah, and I think for us, it's. I'm really happy that you're saying this, because what I hope happens is that now, with all these bands coming through, yesterday at the Turnstile show, there were 15, 16-year-olds who just went off, and you could see that what was happening on stage was touching them. It was like, okay, they felt at home there, and I just hope that they might find us and they might go, oh, I can do this shit. I don't have to be from America. I don't have to, I can do this in my parents' basement with a couple of friends and say what I have to say and take it out to the world.
Just shorten the thread and it's doable. It's just around the corner, basically.
That's what I want people to take from this, and I feel as though we've come around to embrace where we come from, because it's got its own unique set of circumstances, this country, and we made it happen for us the way we felt it was cool. And also running into people from here that we couldn't identify with, who we felt as though didn't stand on their beliefs. We felt as though, we need to do this. We need to stick to who we are and put that out there, which is also why we kind of embrace this term of Luxembourg's hardest. For me, it's not like this toxic thing where like, oh yeah, we're really fucking tough. For me, it's a way of saying it might not always be easy, but we'll stand on.
We'll get through.
And we'll stand on this. Like, we believe in this. We want to do it. Whatever we put out, that's what we want to say and what we want to tell the world, basically, even though I don't care if nobody listens. That's what,
Yeah.
and so that's what we kind of did to that
Yeah.
term, because people are like, oh, this is a hard show. Yeah, Luxembourg size. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's some sense in that we can embrace as well.
Mhm.
And they're like, hell yeah, we'll put that on a sticker. We'll put that on the backdrop because we kind of embrace that position,
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, I could not have said it better. Because
Hell yeah,
honestly,
that's pretty good.
pretty good. We're done.
Hell yeah. Cut.
Cut. But okay, we talk about obviously the evolution, and there's definitely something there, and the scene is growing. What are your personal beliefs in terms of where could you, David, bring, let's say, obviously Blanket Hill to not necessarily new heights, but what are the challenges for you in terms of musician and in terms of where do you go from here? You guys dropped two banger records like over the last 5 years, or
Hell yeah.
3 years. 3 years?
Yeah.
3 years,
2020.
2? No.
2 and 4, yeah.
2 and 4, yeah.
2 and 4, yeah.
So where do you go from there, and how do you, again, these youngsters that come to your show and go nuts and either enjoy the moshing, either enjoy the lyrics, your presences, maybe, who knows,
Yeah.
all of these things. How do you, give them more, to give them the idea, oh, maybe I could do this, to push them some more.
I think for us, in terms of what we want to do as a band, when you start out, you're like, oh shit, I want to go on tour in the US. I want to, the pipe dreams.
Yeah.
And we've just kind of decided that we'll just do our best and do what we feel is right and see what happens, because that has, over the 10 years that we've been a band, has worked best for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just try and keep trying. Like, we're still doing things that we did 10 years ago. Just because we're like an established band in Luxembourg still doesn't mean shit anywhere else. So we'll still do that. We'll still go and play support slots for bands that might not fit. We'll still try and get on a show. We'll still try and play a tour, do this, do that, put out new music. We're putting out a new EP in, I think, early next year.
Hell yeah,
it's coming.
Looking forward to that.
Hell yeah, it's gonna be like, it's back to basics. It's like just a quick one, get that out there, have some fun. And I think what we want to do, especially for people coming into the scene, is just be a helping hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're now old. Like, we've been a band for 10 years.
Yeah, kind of. It's true. Yeah, yes, it's fair.
I'm no longer. I remember, like, especially like with there's been a string of really cool shows happening lately here in Luxembourg. We booked Terra a couple of weeks ago. That was a fantastic show. Then yesterday with the Turnstile thing, there's a few shows coming up. It kind of made me like look back as well and think, okay, I used to drive to shows like 4 times a week. Go and see this band, go and see that band, because it wasn't happening here.
Yeah.
You had to drive.
Yeah, we had no choice. Yeah,
we drove to Cologne to, get stomped out by some dude at the Hatebreed show and then drive back.
Yeah.
Or smaller bands, like we would love, and we would book bands and we would do shows, and I still want to do that. I still want to give younger people the opportunity to come and play with us if they want to learn from the stuff that we've done, and kind of encourage people to do a band, to start playing guitar, and to tell them that the threshold is extremely low if you just want it and if you've got something to say.
I might even say, correct me if I'm wrong, the threshold is you.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, sure.
Most of the time.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
So,
but because people, I feel as though a lot of the time when we talk to people, and I feel as though there's a few young bands who kind of got that hardcore ethos. There's March to the Tomb, who kind of play this crossover thrash thing, but they get it, man. They're like at the shows, they're singing along. they get it, and I
Yep.
hope that they, you know, grow into like a stable, solid band where they can do things. And I believe that if we just continue being who we are, that can happen. And like whenever we talk to people, I remember like people talking to me like, "Oh, these vocals, like, how did you like decide to sing?" And I was like, we wanted a change in the band, we wanted to do something, and I thought I could do it. Like when I used to play guitar in everything I ever did, and then it was just like, yeah, I'll do it. Like I was the singer in Blanket Hill before I had ever sung a note.
The guitarist, you mean?
No, I was just like, I used to play guitar in what we were doing, and then we were like, oh, we need to switch things around. We need to, you know.
Ah, okay,
like,
okay, yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, cool. I'll sing. I'll do it.
Out of the blue, just like that.
Yeah, I want to do it. I think I'd do a good job. I think I'd be nice at writing lyrics. I've got stuff to say that I want to share. I'll do it. Like the rest will fall into place, and I hope that is what people get from what we're doing. Like, just go out there and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the songwriting thing, and we want to write good songs and, you know, try new things in the music as well. We've done a ballad, we've done, you know, all of the weird stuff that we've done.
Dogs of Venice is still my favorite song on the record.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's such a unique take on
It is
who you guys basically are.
Yeah.
As you said.
But that's the idea. That's
yeah.
like, to me, that's still, it's gotten the idea of hardcore written all over it. You know, like in the sense that this is what we want to do, and this is what I want to say right now. So I'll just fucking do it.
Fair.
You know, I want to express myself and what I'm going through and what I feel. In that case, that was a really nice thing and a really positive feeling. But a lot of the time that can also be an outlet for negative feelings, and the new songs that we've written, they're quite angry, man. I'll send you some shit later on. Like,
excited.
I can show you the one thing that will probably get people talking again. You know, we have to do the one thing where people go, "What the fuck?"
Drop the bomb, basically.
Yeah. I'll send that to you later on. You'll see what I mean. You know,
I'll look
and
for
then
it.
hell yeah. But I just want, like, if we can like leave a mark on Luxembourgish music, it's that idea of just go out there and do it, man. Like, to be honest, I love a lot of the bands in this country, but there's also a lot of shitty bands that play way too much that I'm sick and tired of hearing and seeing. And they suck, and the people suck that are playing them.
I agree, 100%.
You know, like, fuck that.
It's I feel, and that comes from the bottom of my heart, and I speak for many people out there. I think it's a very egocentric scene.
It is,
to this day.
Yeah.
And I don't get it.
I feel as though there's too many men in this scene, because
as well, maybe,
everybody, there's fucking everybody's fragile as shit. Oh, I need to open for you? No, I don't think so. Just play your fucking set, man. Like,
you got nothing to lose, basically.
There's 50 people at this show. I don't care who you are. Just play your fucking set. Shut the fuck up. If you're good, people will enjoy it. You know, and I'm sick and tired of all the ego bullshit. Like, when we get booked to play a thing, and somebody tells us you're on stage at 7, and we can physically be there at 7,
you'll be there.
I'll be there and I'll play, and I'll do my thing, and I don't care who's playing after us. I don't care who's playing before us. I'll just do my best and you know, try and share my thing with the world, because I find most of that behavior so childish and so besides the point.
It ruins a lot of it ruins a whole scene, basically.
It does, man. It does, because we're still few. We have a great scene because there's a lot of activity and a lot of creativity, but I'm just sick and tired of the same old douchebags pretending that any of this is more relevant than any other thing that somebody
or let's say, like, a lot of things happening are below my ego, so I'm not doing
Yeah.
it, basically.
Yeah.
And that's like, yeah. I mean, we talked about this
We
several
did.
times already,
We did.
and
But I'm like, that's
it's
because
crazy. Mm.
that thing that you just said, where people don't want to do things because it's below their ego. That's why nobody cares about them, and that's what pisses them off.
It does.
You know,
Yeah, it does.
you're not at the shows. I don't see you at the shows. So if I see you at, a big show at Rock Hall or whatever, don't come and tell me, oh, we need to play together. Fuck you, man. I don't want to play with you.
Yeah.
Like, come and support if you want to support, and if you don't, that's fine as well. But don't pretend, and don't
Yeah.
pretend that you're more than anybody else just trying to do their thing. We could piss on a lot of people's heads. We've done a lot more shit than most of the people in this music scene.
Mm-hmm.
I could tell everybody, bro, I sold out a show in Japan. You don't sell out your fucking show at the bar in Esch, so shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
But I don't want to do that, because that's not that. It's not the same thing.
Yeah,
and I feel as though if
it's
people
not about that.
It's not.
It's not. It's
and nobody cares. It's not relevant. Who cares if we played a show there? Nobody was at the show. But here, I see the same people, and I see young people coming to the shows, wanting to do shit. I see young bands trying to do shit. They might not be as refined musically, but they're passionate about it. They're probably more passionate than you.
Yeah, I was going to say that. The passion gets lost with all of this BS, basically.
Exactly.
And ignorance in terms of...
Exactly. But I love it when I meet people who are excited to watch a set, to play a set. And I think that beats proficiency every time. I'm happy for you to go on stage and play your €2,000 guitar, but you're still playing the same bullshit song you recorded 10 years ago, because that's the last time you felt anything.
Fair. Yeah.
And that's to me, that's what hardcore is about as well. I hope that one day, when we're too tired and old to do this shit, that we can look at a number of bands that will exist then and go like, oh yeah, they're doing the same shit that we did.
Yeah.
Like, they're carrying on the tradition, just like we carry on the tradition of bands like Iceberg, Deftones, probably Wounded Knee. I don't know anybody in Wounded Knee, but they probably did the same shit. And that's what I feel is the essence, really. And that is like where I believe that we step on people's toes here and there, where they feel as though we're too abrasive because we don't want to take that, and where we've had, a bit of friction, let's call it friction. Let's call it friction. But I don't really care, because to me that's like standing up for what you believe in, not just socially, politically, but if you want your scene to be a certain way, we'll make it happen.
The thing is, I feel like, especially for us, we've been doing this for 5 years. We had a lot of comments, a lot of guests, a lot of discussions. I feel like the essence, the flame is, let's call it the flame is there, and it's shining bright, but there's still like these elements that try to, because they were not getting the same attention like others getting now, or stuff like that. So basically, again, this unjustified ignorance or jealousy, basically, as like the worst, and it. And
I don't know what there is to be jealous of, because we're all doing the same stuff in the same circumstances. And cool, you might not play that one show, and this other band got the slot that you feel you deserved, but maybe it's their time to shine, so go out and support them, because you want them to be there when it's your time to do something, And
I agree 100%.
Sometimes I hear people talking shit about certain bands, and I'm like you say, you're just jealous, man. They're out there rocking. I remember there's a Parity played a couple of days ago here in Dudelange at the Fête de la Musique.
I was there.
See, we met. Oh, fuck, yeah.
No worries, dude.
Jesus. So we ran into each other, and I overheard a couple of people from the local scene that were present as well. Not going to name names. Sandra's not hitting all the right notes and whatever. I was like, bro, just shut the fuck up, because there was 50 girls rocking out that had probably never seen a metal show.
Yeah, that's
and
exactly
You know?
That's 100% what I said. I mean, my wife was there as well, and we were quite close to the. So I mean, they managed to get a circle pit. So
Yeah.
getting
Hell yeah.
that in a crowd that has probably never heard something similar than this is insane. And
Yeah,
even that
exactly.
is, to me, is like that's an accomplishment.
It
So
is. And I feel as though that really probably inspired a whole crowd of people there. They might not all come to the next parity show, you know.
yeah,
they
but now
just,
with Spotify and all these things,
exactly.
they get hooked.
And they might want to try something like that. They might
Mm-hmm.
go, "Oh, I can do this," because we're all men in this band. We cannot inspire the same amount of confidence than
Yeah,
probably
like
as a
Sandra
woman
from yeah.
seeing somebody do that. And I think that's extremely powerful. And then just
Yeah.
to go out of your way to talk shit about that, like,
Yeah, it's
you know,
unnecessary, and it's basically
yeah,
useless.
yeah, I'll talk you down every time. Whenever I hear some shit like that, I'll be like, shut the fuck up, man. Stop being jealous.
I took great pleasure, especially in this, not only performance by parody, but the fact that there were two very small girls wearing headphones, like ear protection and
Yeah.
everything, rocking
I
out
saw
to
them.
it.
Yeah.
That was the cutest thing I've seen
Yeah.
in a while. And I'm like, and again, as you said, they are looking at Sandra and they're like,
Yeah.
hell yeah, this could be me. Who
Yeah,
knows?
exactly.
It's maybe a dream or a fever dream, whatever, but who knows? Maybe in 10
Obviously,
years they'll pick up.
we're being optimistic. We're two boys talking about that as well. Let's not
Yes.
forget, which might not be ideal. But the thing is, I think that the point remains that you can do this in a positive way, and you can do it with negativity. You can, and I'm not saying that that's not true for hardcore as well. You get elitists as well, right? You get people, you don't know how to fucking two-step, whatever, you know, because it's got its own code as well. It's got the mosh moves that you need to have down sometimes, because the cool kids will fucking hate on you, you know, and instead of, okay, you don't know what a two-step is, come on, I'll show you. Because people like to pretend like they came out the womb two-stepping. You know?
knowing stuff they weren't.
We were all practicing in the fucking basement. Don't tell me otherwise, you know.
Sure.
So, you know, each one teach one. That's what they say.
Each one teach one. Exactly.
And I feel as though that's something that I certainly embraced early on, because people taught me as well. I went to shows with people that were older than me. I met people. I became friends with people. And we all kind of learned together and were taught by others. And when we did stuff that maybe wasn't cool, we were also told, hey, this is not, you know, that leave that out, you know. And I feel as though that's a position that we take great pride in, because we're in that now, and people have kind of trusted us with that, which is also why we want to take it seriously, you know. If I go to a show now and like people like come up to me and they're like, oh shit, you sing from Blanket Hill, yeah? I'm like, yeah, that's me. And they go, oh shit, I love your stuff. I'm like, damn, okay. It feels as though there's a certain kind of responsibility with that, you know.
For sure, yeah.
You know, and I don't want to let people down on that. It might be really trivial, and it might be, you know, but to me, like, it matters because it has mattered to me for a really, really long time. And I want to kind of respect that as well, you know, like, which is also why we try and do what we do and talk about the things we do, and tell all the racists and the fuckheads to basically do one, you know. Because it feels as though in a time where people are afraid to speak up, especially when they fear retaliation, especially from the right side, or people who don't agree, you got to speak up, man. Especially now, like, don't hide behind your fucking weird hell awaits lyrics. No dig on Slayer, but you know what hell is happening, man, you know. So
it's not far off. The thing is, people tend to not necessarily forget, but as you said, I still have time. But I feel like, again, if you got something to say, say it now. Otherwise,
it's
a bit like marriage. speak now or stay silent.
You're absolutely right, man. Because
So
I feel as though that is also something that's really important, especially for younger people. Now, like I noticed this in school as well. Like sometimes they're afraid to speak up, because they fear whatever it might be.
yeah,
And I feel as though as long as you do it respectfully, and as long as you can defend your point with valid arguments, you should absolutely present that. And if you feel as though you want to sing about it, you should do that as well.
Yeah, agreed.
Because like whenever I do like creative writing assignments with my students, they tend to come up with like really wonderful things, and there's a lot going on inside those heads.
Definitely, yeah.
But I feel as though they might be less inclined to express that than maybe my generation was. That might be a subjective view on things.
That is possible, though. I mean, prejudice rules nowadays, and
exactly.
So, that's a bit shameful.
And I think a lot of the time they really appreciate seeing that somebody encourages that and appreciates them for doing so. And when people come into this scene or come to a Blanket Hill show, like we try and make it a point to say, like, we're a band for everybody. You can be who you want to be. Like, you're welcome here.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to join in on what it is we do. Yeah. Obviously, the shows, you might not get the show. Like, I remember, like, taking people to a hardcore show and they're like, what the fuck? These people are killing each other.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And that might not be for you, but I feel as though if you want to take part and if you want to involve yourself with that, like, you're welcome to do so.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a spot for you there. You might not get the moshing, you might not get the stage diving, you might not get the yelling and the aggressive nature of things, and that's totally fine. But it is also a culture that has developed over since we talked about it.
Yeah.
Since the Black Flag days.
It is freaking deeply rooted, and I feel that is why this episode means quite a lot to me, because
hell yeah,
we want to, in terms of podcast making, in terms of like leaving something behind for others. Because I don't know if I might be doing this for the next 5, who knows this, 5 years. So you leave stuff behind, and you want to make it as not only authentic, but as honest and as proudly as possible.
Exactly.
So for me, with all the things that we mentioned already today, this is like proof enough. This has more like value that I imagined until now. So
yeah, I bet.
So I'm good.
Like, yeah, hell yeah, that's what's up. Because I don't know, it's really hard to, sometimes you read something like a description of something, and you go, on paper, this sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And then you kind of engage with it, you read the book, you watch the film, you listen to the song, and it just doesn't click.
Mm-hmm.
And hardcore might not click for you, and that's fine. I've met people who go, this sounds like the most amazing thing. I go like, oh yeah, people talk about politics and respect and equal rights and, issues for people of the LGBT community and all of the shit that's happening in politics with the far right trying to get the foreigners out and not being okay. And people go, oh, that's amazing. I need to come to the show. I need to, and they're there, and it's not theirs. It's not for them. And that I feel as though that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Those people will find the thing that is for them.
But that will not necessarily change the message.
Exactly.
That they will get from.
Exactly. And the thing is, I feel as though it is something that has so much history and so much culture and so much positive impact on a lot of people's lives. Like, I owe a lot to this shit. Like, I really do. Not just what we do with Blanket Hill, but also like before
for your
that.
Personal,
for like my personal development. Like, there's a lot of tough shit that I went through. Like, I wouldn't have done or like made it through that without this type of music and the community around it and the DIY thing and the outspokenness of it. And it's not perfect. Like, it's got infighting, it's got all the same bullshit. But I feel as though, like, as a cultural thing, like, it might not be for you, but you're welcome to try it out. Please respect it, you know, and try and further its legacy in a way. Don't look down upon it. You might think the moshing is goofy or whatever, and it might not be for you, but like, respect it. Like, it's been happening for a long time. And if you want to join, like, don't be a fucking tourist. If you want to stick to it, stick to it. But like, don't, like, handle it with care and respect. Like, that's my thing. Like, I feel as though we welcome everybody in. But again, like, you got to have the integrity. You got to, like, you know, feel it and want to be a part of it. And if that's not for you, man, that's fine. Like,
that's fine. But still, I mean, I wrote down some few words here, and I think with that, you said most of everything that has to be said. I think respect is probably the biggest word. That respect for not only the music genre itself, hardcore, respect for yourself and for others mostly, and with that, grow in big or small steps.
Exactly.
And take it further.
Which is what makes it. It's always like people say, "Oh, it's more than music." Sounds a bit cringe, but like, to me, it goes beyond the boundaries of a traditional music genre, at least to me.
Yeah.
Being part of it, like organizing stuff. You know,
it is again. It is
for me, like, it's the way I live my life, man. Like,
yeah,
real talk, like, that's like, it's woven into me in a way, you know.
So I think we've said like quite a lot. Thank you so much for all your great inputs.
For sure.
It's it means a lot to me because, again, nothing is written down.
Yeah.
And for me, it's very difficult to go and look for things. So I prefer to come to you. And we'll do these things here. So
yeah, for sure.
So thank you so much. And for you guys out there who don't know Blanket Hill, David, or whatever hardcore means, I'll put everything in the link below, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
And you can check them out. And again, thanks to you, man. And
appreciate it.
We see each other very soon.
Yeah.
Concerts,
100%.
who knows? In person again. And we have to do this in person.
We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll
get some beers. Get some.
Oh yeah. Should be fun.
It'll be great.
We'll bring the boys and the gals. Have a good time.
I can fit maybe up to 4 people without suffocating in here, so
we can
should be possible.
Should do, yeah, 100%. No, it's gonna be a good time. We'll find something else to talk about, or the same thing. I could talk about this for hours.
We'll do it. Well,
my favorite thing in the world. Hell yeah.
You're regular by now, so.
Oh yeah.
Without you, we'll not
recurring character.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much, and we see each other very soon. Until next time.
Appreciate it. Take care.
Cheers.